So Tara Reade was interviewed by Megyn Kelly on Megyn Kelly's YouTube channel as kind of the first big interview that Tara Reade has given since Joe Biden went on Morning Joe. What is it, basically almost, a little over a week ago, and just vehemently denied that he sexually assaulted Tara Reade. So again, this was kind of Tara Reade's first appearance, interaction, in the media. And actually, I think Megyn Kelly did a really good job interviewing Tara Reade. She asked her some really, hard hitting questions. She didn't really leave any stone unturned, so I highly recommend you go and check that out. Again, it's on Megyn Kelly's YouTube channel. It's about 42 minutes long, something like that, and it even just starts off by going into Tara Reade's backstory, getting to know her a little bit, and she put herself through law school. She's still paying off law school debts. She's been a domestic violence advocate for quite a long time, and I think one of the reasons that she got into that field was because of her experience being sexually assaulted by Joe Biden and wanting to find a way to give back to other people who have experienced sexual assault, domestic violence, that type of thing. So one of the interesting things I found about this interview with Tara Reade that was again conducted by Megyn Kelly was that Tara Reade was or Megyn asked her, do you want an apology from Joe Biden at this point? And Tara Reade was like, it's too late. It's too late. If he basically had any sense that he wronged me in this way and actually took this allegation seriously and did some real soul searching, then he would drop out. But then Tara Reade was like, he's not going to do that. And she also talked about Megyn Kelly brought up the hypocrisy of some of the more prominent kind of Me Too liberal people like Alyssa Milano, like Kirsten Gillibrand, Stacey Abrams. I don't know if she mentioned her in particular, Elizabeth Warren, and Tara Reade, again mentioned how she had written to her senator, Kamala Harris, about this, didn't hear anything back. She got a form letter from, Elizabeth Warren, and how she was, really disappointed in Elizabeth Warren by basically throwing Tara Reade under the bus and saying that she believed, Joe Biden. And again, it just really speaks to the complete and utter political opportunism by a lot of people, in the liberal media, the liberal class, by, showing their true colors when it's politically inconvenient for them to stick up for women when they come forward with these allegations, when it doesn't serve them politically, like Warren, like Gillibrand, like Abrams, like Alyssa Milano, just shown to be complete political opportunists who don't really care about this movement, unless these allegations are against a conservative or against a, Republican. And, Megyn Kelly asked Tara Reade, was like, would you be willing to go under oath? Some people, say, well, Christine Blasey Ford has more credit because she went under oath. Tara Reade said she would be, willing to do that. She'd be willing to be cross-examined. And then Megyn Kelly asked her, would you be willing to take a lie detector test, as supposedly Christine Blasey Ford did? And then Tara Reade was like, that sets pretty disturbing precedent if all, survivors of sexual assault, sexual violence, domestic violence, whatever, if they have to come forward and take a lie detector test to be believed. But she then was like, if Joe Biden, he should be the one. And then she was like, well, I'm not a criminal. I'm not a criminal. I shouldn't have to take a lie detector test. Obviously, that's, the correct point. But then she was like, if Joe Biden comes forward and takes one, I would take one too. So, during this interview, from my perspective, it just really cemented my belief that I do believe Tara Reade. There's, just and basically a massive amount of evidence supporting her claim. Again, she told her mother, she told her brother, she told her friend at the time. In the interview, she referred to this friend as Karen, as, you know, like a pseudonym, because she doesn't want to, you know, come forward and receive some of this horrible treatment that's, you know, been directed towards, you know, Tara Reade. And this Karen friend worked in Ted Kennedy's office at the time, and Tara Reade then shared with Karen, you know, this sexual assault that was perpetrated against her by Joe Biden. We have the Larry King phone call. Now we have the, you know, former neighbor who also, that, you know, Tara Reade told her in 1995 or 96 that, you know, this happened, that she was sexually assaulted by Joe Biden. This neighbor is also a Joe Biden supporter. We now have that court records of Tara Reade's former husband, who mentioned, you know, something like that in their divorce paper filings, basically that they're, you know, Tara Reade, you know, was still very much shooken up and impacted by some type of, you know, assault or sexual harassment at the hands of her, I think, former employer, something like that. We have Tara Reade's, after, you know, filing the complaint that she had been, you know, sexually harassed by Joe Biden, that, you know, her duties overseeing the interns were taken away. What does Joe Biden have? He says no. The, you know, 3 people that have worked for him for a long time said it didn't happen. But again, it seems like they're just wanting to cover Joe Biden's ass, no matter the cost. And, you know, we have the long and sordid history of Joe Biden lying about a huge number of things, like marching in the civil rights movement, lying about why he supported the Iraq War. We also have, you know, the fact, shoot, where was it going? Oh, and then, I mean, all the other instances of him acting inappropriately, sexually harassing other women, getting, like, close, touching their hair, smelling them, touching their necks, like, whatever. I mean, it's not a huge stretch to think that if you're able to violate somebody's personal space in that way, when, you know, cameras and other people could see what's going on, that behind the scenes you're going to, you know, try to sexually assault somebody by digitally penetrating them with your fingers without any type of, you know, consent whatsoever. Oh, and then the other thing, yeah, Joe Biden was trying to say he got, like, arrested by going to South Africa to try to, you know, protest or hang out with Mandela or something like that. I mean, this is the dude that bragged about working with segregationists. I'm sorry, I don't think there's a huge stretch to say that Joe Biden would be capable of sexual assault. So, I mean, I believe Tara Reade. Again, there's a lot more credible evidence to support her claim than there was Christine Blasey Ford's. Not to say that Christine Blasey Ford was lying or anything like that, but again, it's really telling that the liberal media, the liberal class, liberal politicians like Warren, Gillibrand, Abrams, celebrities like Alyssa Milano, you know, were all about believing women and supporting Christine Blasey Ford when she came forward with this allegation against Brett Kavanaugh during his Supreme Court nomination process. You know, they gave her all the credit and credence and room in the world to share her story, and now they are totally dismissing Tara Reade, saying, I believe Joe Biden, the, you know, warmongering, liar, corporatist, neoliberal, sexual harasser, and it seems like, from my opinion, the sexual assaulter at this point too. They're willing to throw Tara Reade under the bus because it doesn't suit them politically. Hugely disgusting. Support Tara Reade. I support all survivors of, you know, sexual assault, sexual violence, domestic violence, coming forward, sharing their stories. Again, it's not to say that they all should be, you know, believed as a blanket statement, but these claims, these allegations should be taken seriously. We shouldn't be blaming the victim. We should never be doing that. We shouldn't be trying to look for holes in her record by, looking at, she was saying that she's been getting death threats because people have been calling her, a Russian agent, a traitor, and all these things, and she's getting death threats for simply coming forward and sharing her story of how she was sexually assaulted by Joe Biden in 1993. And again, what she claims is that she was given this duffel bag. She brought it to Joe Biden. He pushed her against this wall in this Senate building office without any type of consent or asking her whatsoever. He stuck his fingers up her skirt, digitally penetrated her, and then she kind of pushed him away, recoiled. Then Joe Biden said, I heard that you like me. And then in this interview, she said that he said some, disturbing things. It's like, do you want to fuck me or something like that? And then, she pushed him away. And then she's like, no, this is okay. This is okay. It's going to be okay. Don't worry about it. And then he said this really, demeaning thing to her. Is like, you don't mean anything to me. You're nothing to me. I mean, this is Joe Biden. This is Joe Biden. And, Tara Reade during this interview with Megyn Kelly was like, or Megyn Kelly asked her the question, was like, basically, it's like, so you're calling him to drop out, but Trump also has all these sexual assault claims against him. And Tara Reade was like, it's pretty sad and pretty telling that we live in a country where two people, one who is already president, who would be running for re-election, obviously, and then Joe Biden on the other side wanting to get elected for president, both have, claims of sexual assault against them. That's pretty sad and depressing. Obviously, that, those are the two choices that we're being left with at this point. But, I totally agree with Tara Reade's point. If Joe Biden had any type of dignity, moral courage, if he wasn't just, a complete liar and a hypocrite, he would be dropping out at this point. And if Bernie, unfortunately, he doesn't have any type of political courage, he would be calling for the same thing right now, and he would be reinstating his campaign. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Joe Biden will probably still be the nominee, even though huge chunk of Democratic voters, especially younger voters, after seeing his interview on Morning Joe, said they wouldn't be voting for him. And I can see why. I mean, it's hugely troubling, again, that a sexual assault allegation, a very credible one, in my opinion, that has, a lot of corroborating evidence, isn't enough for a the presumptive nominee on the Democratic side to drop out. It's pretty indicative of how messed up the United States political system is at this point. I would love to hear your thoughts on this topic. Oops, almost knocked over my laptop. And the Megyn Kelly interview, and just this whole kind of conundrum that's going on around Joe Biden and the sexual assault allegation. Like the video if you like the damn video. If you don't, hit that dislike button, subscribe for more content. Peace, much love.